Salutations, Niaja. How are you? Wonderful. Where's my beautiful, brilliant, bright scholar? If you're beautiful, brilliant, talented, gifted, black, from an amazing legacy of amazing trailblazers who were mathematicians, scientists, astronauts, biologists, teachers, engineers, architects, raise your hand. That's right. That is you. Those are the shoulders on which you stand. So, the last couple of weeks we were talking about the civil rights movement, we were talking about the solar system and all the people who helped shape the solar system or help us study the solar system through an organization called NASA. And we learned about how they got to know what they needed to know, how they developed the skills in order to do that. We said they went to college, well, they had to graduate from high school. They studied math and science. And so people like Katherine Johnson, Dr. Mae Jemison, Leland Melvin, they all went on to do amazing things. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, they went on to do amazing things in terms of discovering how the galaxy works, what happens outside of Earth, right? So now I want to talk to you a little bit about math, and that's one of your favorite subjects. I know, because you talk to me about it all the time, and that's what you always ask to do, and that's what we should have been focusing a bit more on. So this is a method. Today we're going to look at subtracting into the thousands, but we're going to work specifically with using the subtract one method. Okay, so we know about regrouping, right? When more on the floor, go next door. Like you have to go next door and borrow, right? So that's what we do when we regroup. But sometimes we may not need to regroup, especially when there are a lot of zeros, right? When we see a whole bunch of zeros, we don't need to try to bother to regroup because we can use the subtract one method. So if you look at the example here, okay, I have the number 10,000 and I'm saying subtract 1,376. Those seem like really huge numbers, don't they? They do. All you have to remember is adding and subtracting 1. So you do need to use your what? Mental math, okay? And I know that you can do it because it's something that you started learning a long, long time ago. So I want you to recall, and you've probably already been practicing this in school. Okay? So we're going to use our mental math to subtract 1, okay? And then we're going to solve the problem with the smaller number, and then we're going to add the 1 back to get our final answer, okay? So that's 3 really, really simple steps. But guess who can do it? And guess who can do it? You can do it because you're brilliant. Who else used to use 3 simple steps? Oso, and you used to love watching Oso. So anytime there's a problem, we can break it down into smaller steps to figure it out, right? Okay, so we're going to practice this, and we're going to start with our first problem, okay? So we're looking at 10,000 minus 1,376, okay? 10,000 minus 1,376, all right? So let's start. So the first step is we have to subtract 1 from 10,000, okay? Oh, did you write your name and date on your paper? Have you done that? Okay, all right. Did you get a scrap sheet of paper? I'm sorry. Yes, so have a scrap sheet of paper handy in case you need it. All right, and we're going to start with our first step, which is subtracting 1 from 10,000. Now we know, because we're excellent counters, that 10,000 minus 1, and remember, you can pause this tape at any time, pause the video at any time to start over, okay? If you need to, pause it, take your time, write your name out. There's no rush, okay? That's why it's taped, so you can stop it, start it, do whatever you need to do. All right, so let's look at it. Now, we have 10,000 minus 1. This is our first step. Now, anytime you see that 1 over there by itself, you don't have to write it down, but you can imagine that there are zeros, because zeros are excellent space holders because they don't have any value. So they neither add or take away value from a number when you add them before the 1, okay? Now, if there's a comma and we add zeros, it definitely makes a big difference because it's a bigger number. But in terms of putting them here as space holders, they don't necessarily change the value. They don't change the value of the number, okay? So that's important to remember. And this is something that we discussed last year, okay? So I'm asking you to recall prior knowledge to be able to solve the problem. Now, we're not actually going to work through it. We're not going to regroup because, again, there's more on the bottom. So technically, you would have to regroup. But we're not going to regroup because we can use our mental math, and we know that 10,000 minus 1 will leave us with 9,999. Why? Because that's the next number, right? So if we were counting to 100 and we were at 980, 981, 982, 983, 984, 985, 986, 987, 988, 989, 990, 991, 992, 993, 994, 995, 996, 997, 998, 999. What would be next? 1,000, right? Because after 99, we always go up 100. We usually go up into the next place value. So whether it's going from 9 to 10, whether it's going from 99 to 100, or if it's going from 999 to 1,000, or 9,999 to 10,000. Okay, so that's something that we can use our mental math for. So now we're not going, like I said, we're not going to regroup. We're going to use our mental math, and we know that 10,000 minus 1 is going to give us 9,999. So that's about rote memorization. That's not something that I can teach you in terms of this. It's something that we have to practice. And the more you practice, the more you memorize. And I know sometimes it's difficult with the medication, and I know it's really, really frustrating at times, but you're bright enough, you're strong enough, you're intelligent enough, and you're blessed enough to do it. So I'm not worried about it, okay? So this is our first step, 9,999, okay? So we have 9,000, look at all those nines, 9,999. Okay, that's our new number. All right. Now, so we have 9,999, right? So now we have 9,999. So now we have to look at our original problem to figure out what is the sum that we're subtracting. So let's go back up to the top. What was the sum that we were subtracting? Can you say it? 1,300 and what? 76. So we're subtracting 1,376. So this is how your problem should look. Make sure that you've written it down properly. 9,999 minus 1,376. Why don't you take a moment, even if you have to pause the tape, pause the video, to go ahead and write it down, okay? Again, that's 9,999 minus 1,376, okay? All right, good. So now that we have our problem written down, we can start solving, okay? So now we're going to start in the what place? That's right, the ones place. Can you point to the ones place? That's right. It's this column right here. This would be the ones place, okay? And there's a 9 up top and a 6 on the bottom. So what's 9 minus 6? 3. Very good. Okay. Can you tell me what's in the tens place? What's in the tens place? That's right. We have a 9 on the top. And what do we have on the bottom in the tens place? A 7. Very good, big girl. So 9 minus 7 is what? 2. Okay, very good. So now let's look at the next place. What's the next place up? Let's take a look. Oh, sorry, I have something on my chin. Okay, so let's look here. Okay, so this is the ones place. This is the tens place. This is the whats place. hundreds. Very good, very good. So now we have in the hundreds place, we have a 9 on the top and a 3 on the bottom. So 9 minus 3 is what? 6. You got it. Okay, all right. Now let's look here. We have a 9 up top and a 1 on the bottom. What's that? 9 minus 1 is what? Absolutely, it's 8. So in the thousands place, we have an 8. Now we've already made sure that we added our comma. Okay? So now, when we subtracted it in this way, our answer was what? 8,623. All right? So 9,999 minus 1,376 gave us 8,623. Okay? So now, what do we have to do? Remember in step 1, when we subtracted 1? Well, now we have to add the 1 back, okay? So our third and final step is that we're going to add it back. So now we have to add the 1 back. So we have 8,623 plus 1. Now, we don't really have to add it because we can use our mental math. We see that there's a 1, and it's in the ones place, and there's a 3. What's 3 plus 1? You know it. 4. Exactly. 3 plus 1 is 4. So we know that our answer just went from 8,623 to 8,624. Okay? So our final answer now is 8,624. So we can say, as long as you've shown your work, all you have to do now is take your answer from the third column, and we're going to put it up here at the top, okay? Our answer is 8,624, okay? So this is the way you would show your work. I would expect to see 3 boxes just like this, where you show me what you've done in each step, okay? And so then, once you solve the problem, you can put it back into the original problem, plug in your answer without having to do anything to the original problem because you've shown your work at the bottom, okay? So is that clear? Were you able to see it clearly? What if I put it over my face? So now, can you see that clearly? All right. Good job. Good job. All right. All right. So I'm going to erase this problem, and I'm going to set up a new problem, and I'm just going to pause the video for 2 seconds while I do that, okay? In the meantime, you can check your work, look through it, make sure that you've written your name, the date, today's day, write your name, today's date, today's day, and the subject, which is math, okay? Make sure you put that on the top of your paper. That is called your heading. Okay, so while you're working on that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this, and then we'll get started again, okay? Okay, so now we have an even bigger number, and the number we have now, they're probably a crazy person, I don't know, is 27,000 minus 6,252. 27,000, they're probably really so upset with me, minus 6,252. Okay? 27,000 minus 6,252. 27,000 minus 6,252. All right. I don't think. All right, they're probably upset. Okay. All right, so now 27,000 minus 6,000. All right, 27,000 minus 6,252. All right, so let's look at it. So if we did 27, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do what? Because we have 3 zeros at the end, we're going to do what? Excellent. We're going to subtract 1. All right, so our answer then becomes 26,999. Sorry, 26,999. Okay, 26,999. All right, so now let's go to our next step. If we did 26,999, now we have to subtract. We have to plug it back into our original problem. So we have, instead of 27,000, we're going to write 26,999. That's probably, and we're going to subtract 6,252. All right. So let's look at what our new problem is. So instead of it being 27,000 minus 6,252, it's now 26,999 minus 6,252. Okay, do you see it? Do you have it written down? Okay, good job. So now let's subtract. We're going to start with what place? That's right, we're going to start with the ones. What is the top number with the ones? The top number is 9. 9 minus 2 is what? 7. 9. And then in the tens place, what do we have up top? We also have a 9. And what do we have on the bottom? A 5. So 9 minus 5 is what? 4. Very good. Now, let's look in the hundreds place. What do we have up top? We have a 9. Very good. What do we have on the bottom in the hundreds place? We have a 2. What's 9 minus 2? 7. Very good. Now, let's put our comma. Make sure we drop our comma down. Now, let's look in the thousands place. This is in the 1,000s place. We have a 6 on the top, a 6 on the bottom. So what does that leave us? 0. Correct. And then 2 minus 0 is what? 2. So now, we've effectively completed step 2 and solved this part of the problem, which is 26,999 minus 6,252. The answer is 20,747. Okay, that's the final 20,747. Okay, so now we have to do what? Because in step 1 we subtracted 1, so now we have to add 1 back. Okay, so now we have 20,747 plus 1. Now we have 20,748. So what is our final answer? 20,748. So now, since we've shown our work in 3 steps, step 1, 2, and 3, we're going to add it back. Really parse up there. 20,748. Okay? 20,748. Okay? So we've written our answer back on the top. Okay? Can you say that number for me? 20,748. Say it one more time. 20,748. Okay? All right. So I'm going to pause it so that I'm going to pause it so that I can erase it and set up for the next problem. But again, remember each time we do 3 basic steps. Step 1 is that we subtract 1. Step 2 is that we take the difference that we found in step 1 and put it at the top and use it as the top sum in step 2. Then we take our bottom sum from the original problem and add it to the bottom here, okay? And when we do that, then we solve, all right? When we get the difference here, it also becomes the sum, very good, the top sum in step 3, and we have to add the 1 back, and that final sum here goes here as the answer, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to pause the tape so I can set up for our next problem, okay? I'm going to pause the video. I keep saying tape. Pause the video so I can set up for our next problem. Okay, now, let's take a look here. We have 35,000 minus 10,271. We have 3 zeros. So we use the subtract 1 method anytime we have 3 or more zeros. Anytime we have 3 or more zeros, we'll use the subtract 1 method, okay? So now, we have 3 or more zeros. So we're going to subtract 1. So step 1, we're going to do 35,000 minus 1. Okay, using our mental math, we know that 35,000 minus 1 is going to be 34,999. Because 999, because we're looking at the hundreds place, right? And we know that everything goes up by 1. So everything goes, when we're counting up, we count by 1s usually. We can count by 10s and 5s, but for the purposes of this particular exercise, we usually count by 1. Now, the other important thing to note is that when you get rid of these zeros over here, you also lose 1 in the 1,000s place. Okay? In the 1,000s place, we're going to lose 1. So this was 35,000, right? And when we subtracted 1, even though we only took away one little single 1, we went down a whole 1,000. We only went down by 1, but we went down a whole 1,000. So we went down to 34,999. Okay, can you say that again? 34,999. Right here, we went down to 34,999. So that's here in step 1. Okay, so now what are we going to do? We're going to take the difference from that step and use it as the top sum in step 2. Okay? Okay, now we have to go back and look at our original problem right here. What is it? 10,270. So we had, in our original problem, we had 35,000 minus 10,271, correct? Excellent. So now we're going to take the second sum, okay? Second sum, and we're going to add it right here, okay? We're going to put that sum right here under 34,999. So it's 10,271. Okay? Now, we're going to now we're going to subtract, okay? What is in the ones place, we have a 9 in our top sum and we have a 1 in our bottom sum, okay? Excuse me. So, what is the answer? What is 9 minus 1? I bet you can use your mental math. I'm certain you did. 8. Very good. 9 minus 1 is 8. Okay. What is 9 minus 7? Mental math. 2. Very good. And it's okay if your memory is a little foggy and you aren't able to use your mental math as well as you'd like to. That's fine. If you want to use your fingers, you can do that as well. Okay, so what about 9 minus 2? Mental math, 7. All right, 4 minus 0 is 4. Oh, did you drop your comma down? Very good. We know when we get three numbers, we have to use our comma. Okay, when we want to move past the hundreds place. Now, we're in the 10,000s place. 3 minus 1 is what? 2. So now we have a new sum. It's 24,728. 24,728. So this difference, right, is going to come up here to be the sum for step 3, the top sum for step 3. So we have 24,728. Now, because we subtracted 1 in step 1, we have to add it back in step 3. Okay? So now we have 24,729. Okay? So step 3, we find our final answer, which is 24,729. 24,729. So what do we need to do with that? That's right. We have to plug it back into our original problem. So up here is 24,729. So now, now we've solved our problem, right? And we didn't have to do any modifications to the original problem beyond writing the answer because we've shown our work down here. Okay, so I would expect to see, if I was looking at your paper, I would expect to see 3 blocks, and I would expect that in each block you're going to have shown me what you did in order to get your answer. Okay? Does your paper look like this? Are you sure? Are you kidding me? I'm certain it did. So now, you can have your dad give you a few other practice problems to do, but that's going to wrap up this particular lesson. Okay? Let me see. If you have any questions, you can ask your dad to leave to have you let you write the question in the comment box, because you can send me a message and I'll get it, and then I can make sure that when I make the next video, I'll address it in that one. Okay? So I love you very much, baby, and I miss you so much. You are as brilliant as Katherine Johnson. You are as stellar as Dr. Mae Jemison, and you are as tenacious as astronaut Leland Melvin. Okay? Because you are, baby. You are, and you can do anything you put your mind to. And I love you very much, and I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to talk to you. And I'm so sorry that we're not doing this together, but we're still doing it. And so, even if we're not side by side, okay, remember that I love you. All right, peace.